My name is Bryan Duran, that's my real name. Bryan Duran. Duran is my father. I was born in Matanzas, Cuba in 1995, August 16, 1995 to be exact. I grew up in Cuba, I won't say in the poorest neighborhood, but I did grow up in a poor neighborhood. And I mean, bro, I was a kid, so I didn't really notice how bad it was where I was at. And now that I'm older, I realize how bad it really was. But growing up there, man, I was just a regular kid, man. I grew up with my mom alone, lived with my whole family in one house. That's why I'm so about family. I mean, bro, my dad came when I was 1, running from the law over there. They were looking for him to give him time for feeding us. You know, over there it's a crime to feed your family. So he left when I was 1. I came when I was 9. I was able to make it here when I was 9. What really shocked me was the fact that I knew my dad was somewhere else, and I would go to school and see the kids with their dads and doing like what father and sons are supposed to do, and I didn't have that. I just had my mom that was working really hard for me. So it kind of gave me like a really strong character and believe in the fact that whatever I want to achieve in life, I just got to work for it. Nothing's going to be handed to me, because nothing was ever handed to me. So Gallo comes from, I had a friend in middle school. Her name was Diana. It was my best friend. And her mom was the security guard, one of them. And I used to fight all the time in school. I had little anger issues because the kids used to be like bully me and stuff because I didn't know English, so I would just handle it fighting because I couldn't talk back. One time I went to the house and she was like, bro, tú siempre estás fajado, you're always fighting, you know. Tú pareces un gallo pelea. She's like, you look like a fighting rooster. So that name just stuck with me, man. And to this day, it's stuck with me. It's always been my nicknames as a kid. You know, I had a big mohawk also, so it went along with the name. And you know, it means a fighter, bro. Rooster, you know, roosters fight to death, and I fight to death, so I feel like it really goes with me. Well, when I got here, my dad wanted me to do karate just to learn how to defend myself, because you know, that's what he did. He did karate in Cuba, different types. So he wanted me to, you know, at least learn how to defend myself, but he didn't want me to do martial arts. So I wanted to play baseball. So he put me in baseball after putting me in karate for like 5 months, and I really didn't like karate. He put me in baseball. I played baseball, and at 11 years old, started doing capoeira. And that's what really introduced me to the martial arts world, and that's where I really like fell in love with like combat sports. And I always had that chip on my shoulder that I wanted to be a fighter, but my dad never wanted to put me in boxing or, you know, combat sports that is competing, you know, hitting each other when it came to damage contact, you know. So he always kept that from me, that little window he always closed it on me, never let me do it because the damage to the brain, all this and that, which I ended up in the streets years later fighting and taking damage also regardless, you know, abusing substances, you know, all that was bad. So, but you know, I always told myself, I wish my dad would have let me box or let me at least do MMA, but man, I feel like everything's perfect time because I landed in the perfect sport at the perfect time. When I moved to the United States, I had to adapt to just the environment, period. You know, like it was a different culture. It was a different way of viewing life, different. I was born in Cuba, raised around Cubans, and I had the impact of different countries, different, you know, cultures once again, because Miami is not one culture. There's plenty of them. Yeah, there's a bunch of Cubans here, but there's plenty of culture, different countries, people from everywhere. So adapting to that, different point of views. The English hit me really hard. The kids were cruel, you know, because they were honest. You know, kids are a product of their environment. Whatever they listen to at their house, whatever they hear, it's what they're gonna apply in school with kids. And, you know, they're honest, brutally honest. So, you know, they kind of like bully me and not knowing how to read, the way I looked, because I came dressing different. My book bag was funny to them, you know, everything was funny to them because I was in a whole different world, you know. Cuba's a whole different world. You have in Cuba what you can, not what you want, you know. So I was just grateful to come over here and be able to pick out a book bag that I liked from a cartoon I liked, but kids were already advanced. They were not even looking at cartoons at that age when I got here. So, you know, they were kind of, you know, a little tough on me, but that built so much. You could say anger, but not really anger. It was more like character. I had to build this thick skin of dealing with negativity and having to overcome it, having to prove a point, which it kind of took a left turn later on in life, which I started proving a point the wrong way. But thankfully, finding this sport, I started proving my point another positive way again, how a child should and how all of us should. you know? So yeah, man, it was a little tough, but everything happened for a reason. Everything I went through made me the man I am today. And we all make mistakes, man. As long as we know how to better ourselves and we try, even when we make the same mistake again, we try and we try, and we generally try and generally mean it and regret bad things, I feel like you can always change your life to the better and you can achieve really great things, every single one of us. It's a mind state. What made me realize that I was talented to be a great fighter was even as a kid, I never lost a fight in the street. Every time I hit somebody, they dropped. So it was things that now I'm like, wow, I was just made for this. But when you're young, you're just fighting, oh, it's just the rush of the moment, oh, you're getting lucky. But no, there was something there. But I always knew there was something special about me being a fighter. I was never scared of getting hit. I was always down to fight. And adrenaline, I loved it, I'm adrenaline junkie. I pick it over anything, over going out, over women, over everything. I love fighting. And what really made me realize that I'm like, wow, like this is what I'm gonna do for the rest of my life until I really decide to retire and just relax, was my second fight, bro. My first fight was more like a test run, like let's see where this goes. I went in there and I finished the guy like in 1 minute and 15 seconds. And that feeling I felt when I looked at the crowd and I saw the crowd just, everybody stand up and go crazy. My first time at the Hard Rock fighting, I turned around and it was just chills all over my body. And I wanted to cry, I wanted to scream. I didn't know how to act, I didn't know how to control my body. There was jitters going on. I felt like I still hadn't fought. I felt like I didn't perform good enough, but I performed like better than I did my last fight. And I was like, bro, I'm new to this. So it was like so many things. So it was like, I'm happy because like, wow, I did it. I'm 2-0, 2 knockouts. But at the same time, it's like, damn, but I could have performed better. I did a couple things that I shouldn't have done. And I was like being hard on myself, but I see everybody happy with me. And I'm like, damn, let me just suck in that moment, like let it come in and let me relax, let me enjoy it, because sometimes we're too hard on ourselves, man. And you just gotta live, man. You gotta breathe and enjoy it. Every second of it. There's no such thing as making it, man. It's not. You don't make it ever. You just maintain, bro. And you find that happiness and trying to build your life around it, man. So you could just keep feeding that purpose, I feel like that's what I was missing to the happiness of my life, That's what we always search for. We always like, oh, we gotta find happiness. And we don't understand what it is, and people fail. People go and hide behind drugs or hide behind addictions, any type. It could be sex, it could be anything, People go down deep roads in life, deep paths that take them really dark, because they don't know what their happiness is. They don't find their purpose, but I found it, and everything was so clear after that, Like, I'm human. I have my ups and downs in life when it comes to emotions, when it comes to business, when it comes to financially. Like, I'm human, bro. Like, life is about knowing how to handle ups and downs. It's not just about being up all the time. You will never appreciate it if you're up all the time, So, it's just little by little, man. All that, just everything in life, just build a monster, man. And here I am, and I'm here to take over. And like I said, look what happened to me in my last fight. It was a downfall in a way, in other people's eyes, oh, this and that, but it built me to another level, man. It made me a monster. It made me a relentless individual when it comes to the mindset. Like, I'm willing to literally die to get a win and willing to kill 1,000%. Fighting definitely is a big part of who I am today, but fighting has always been a big part of who I am, period. I was born a fighter, man. Right when I was born, I caught an infection in my eyes. The doctor told my mom that I was supposed to be blind, that I was not gonna, I had pus in my eyes for weeks, and they thought I wasn't gonna make it, And from one day to another, there was a miracle, and I got saved. I say it's God, So I've been a fighter my whole life, man. And before I stepped in the ring, to the full extent meaning of the word, you can consider me a killer. It helps me for who I am in the ring nowadays, that cold blood feeling, I have a heart like everybody else, but I'm just a deep individual, Really to myself, love others. I'm a great friend, super humble, but I have that killer instinct, and that was born with me. There's nothing to change it, and I feel like that comes down generations, because my dad is the same way. my kids are young and I see it in them, in their eyes. You know, it's something in our blood. Probably Warriors back then, great back there, probably Warriors back in the days. God knows where I come from, you know. But killer, man, killer mentality. That's who I am. I view myself as an intellectual individual for the simple fact that I don't close my mind to learning something new, and I learn from everybody. I can learn from my son, I can learn from my dad, I can learn from my friend, I can learn from anybody. I'm open to learn from everybody, and I feel that that's one of the wisest things any individual can have, especially a man, being able to learn from others and being able to listen. That's what God gave us, 2 ears and 1 mouth. You know, you listen more than you speak. And I feel like that's something, that's an easy word to describe who I am, an intellectual individual. December 21st is my biggest fight to date, in my eyes, you know, in my book. No matter who I'm fighting, even if it's the champ or it's not the champ, even if it's the biggest name, it doesn't matter. It's the biggest fight, it doesn't matter who's in there in front of me. For me, it's my biggest fight because it's my comeback fight. I get to prove to myself that I am who I said I am, and I am who I trained to be, you know, who I was born to be. And I have a purpose, and December 21st will show that I am meant for big things, bro, and I'm here to stay. I'm here to take over the sport, take over the whole platform, take over the world, basically. Mentally and physically, I'm preparing on a whole different level. Physically, I'm doing things that I've never done before, like conditioning. I'm doing track work that I never got to do. You know, I'm running at different paces that I wasn't running. I'm not just running miles how I used to. You know, fighters have a science to the way they run, and now when I finally have people in my team that are teaching me. Mentally, I feel like I'm more in tune with myself than I ever was, in the sense of like believing, and that comes from the hard work. So everything comes together. So when you say the physical and the mind, you gotta be working both so they come together, and then it's you, you know? And I feel like the best part about everything was what happened on June 21st, 2024, changed my whole mindset. It made me really dig deep here in the gym. Made me realize that those moments of fatigue here in the gym is when you gotta push. You know, I didn't understand that before. I'll get tired, I'll throw up and everything in the gym, but nothing like now. Now I'm ignoring even the throw up. I'm not even going over there. I feel it like before, but now I'm ignoring it and keep pushing. It's a different mindset, you know, and like I said, bro, new conditioning coach, new everything. You know, I'm still with the same boxing coach, that's my coach. I included Marty also in my camp this time. You know, he helped me a little bit for 2 camps ago. Last camp, I wasn't able to work with him, but the camp before he helped me out a lot. We including different things, man, and it's gonna show, man, it's gonna show. No matter the outcome or what comes after this, and what comes after this fight, if I get the title shot again for the rematch, or if I don't, I'm still gonna work my ass off, and I'm still gonna work super hard, like if I'm fighting the champ, because my goal is to get my rematch back, and I wanna prove to myself, everybody, I wanna prove to me that I know I could have beat that guy that night if I was 100% and healthy, and that's what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna beat him, even if it's for a title shot or it's just a regular fight. I will skip on a title shot just to fight Kai Stewart unless I'm forced to fight for a title. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta get that back, you know? And that's just my focus right now. Building back up until I get the fight with him so I can put him out. Lights out, because I'm not planning on going 5 rounds with him again. Lights out. I'm gonna be ready for 5, 10, 20 rounds if we have to, but I'm gonna put them lights out, and I'm gonna continue my career and on to new things. But right now, my goal is getting back to where I left off. The way I deal with the pressure, working really hard, so there is no pressure. Because when you work really hard, there's no pressure. You work hard, there's nothing. What's the worst that can happen? You get punched, we all gonna get punched. It's part of the sport. We signed up for it. So when you work hard, you know you're able to take the punches. You know you're able to move around to not get hit, and you're able to answer back or execute from the beginning and be the aggressor. Moral of the story, you work hard, there's no pressure, man. And the way I deal with it, like I said, believing in my God, bro. God first at all times. And I'm not ashamed of saying it. Like, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here right now and I wouldn't be winning. And last fight was the only fight I forgot to pray before I came out, and look what happened to me. So I learned something big that night. It wasn't only about the sport, it wasn't only about myself, but it was more about what it is, and it's God comes first at all times. And no matter how hectic nights can get, or like opportunity that I can get, or just the moment, you always gotta pause yourself for a second and thank God and just tell him to keep you safe at all times, and he's gonna do his job. That's what he does. But that's what I learned that night, man. God comes first at all times. I'm gonna approach this fight with aggression. I was supposed to approach Kai Stewart till I got injured 10 seconds in. Same way, I'm gonna approach it with super aggression, super angles, and super powers. He's not gonna see it coming. He thinks he knows what he got, but he has no idea how hard I really hit, how fast I really am, and how hungry I really am. He's getting fed to me and he has no idea. I don't think about losing ever. Ever, ever, ever. The only time I ever had a doubt to lose was in the back room before I walked out with a Kai Stewart and I threw a right hand on the pads and I felt my shoulder feel a little weird. But else than that, I never, ever, and look at that, the only time I ever even thought about it, even like had a little glance of doubt, boom, I got hurt exactly what I thought about in the back room. My shoulder, boom, got hurt right away. So I learned that my mind is the toughest weapon I have after God. He gave me it. So God, my mind, and then the body and the work I put in. You know, and my reason why comes right after that. My 4 beautiful kids. And the fact that my mother risked her life just like I did to get here, but she risked it, you know, another crazy way too, and I owe her everything. She's gave her whole life to me. She was single for years until, you know, I was already an adult basically and decided to get my stepdad, which is a great stepdad. He was my baseball coach. So, you know, if there's not bigger things than you, you're gonna quit, bro. 100% we're human. But when you got a reason why that's bigger than you, you're gonna push through that pain. You're gonna push through that struggle. You're gonna push through all that. She deserves for me to give her the world, man, just like my kids, man. And I have an autistic son that he pushes me to another level because it's a feeling that I battle every day, you know, trying to learn how to, you know, deal with the situation and how do I teach him what I teach the others without making him feel any type of way and there's moments that you feel like you gotta be a little tougher, but that's not the way. And you know, I battle with that. So I fight so hard for that. And I feel like every day in the gym that I break myself, because we break ourselves in this gym, you break yourself and you build yourself back up. I feel like I built myself a stronger version of myself, which that includes the most important, which is being a father, you know?
I got a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, there's a little, my only daughter is about to be 5 next month, and my newborn that was born 2 days ago.
That kid right there, man, he's the one that looks the most like me, identical to me, and man, he's my biggest fan, bro. He like my biggest fan. He walks around like screaming, like fighting out of Miami, Florida, Bryan and Gallo Duran, and like all over the house, you know. And man, I get kind of emotional talking about it because, bro, there was a few rumors that I was doing the whole autism awareness for the cloud and things like that. People don't know how much I battle with that because it's hard as a parent not knowing where that came from. And as a parent, you blame yourself because you think it's something you did, you know, growing up, or you think it's, you know, your genes and this and that. And at the end of the day, bro, whatever reason it is, this is the obstacle that God put, or the blessing, however you want to see it, and you got to overcome it with love. And that's the reason I fight for that so hard, because he deserves to have the best life ever. And how can I give him the best life and the best teachers and everything that he needs for his thing if I don't have what it takes to give it to him? Because a regular individual out there can't afford real education for those type of kids, can't have the time, which I feel that that's the most important, the time. And this is going to give me the financial freedom to be able to be there for him. Because the other ones are super smart, you know, and they help me with him, but he needs my time more than the others. They all do, but he needs it more than others. And that's why I fight so hard, to have that time to spend it with him and teach him the right way.